travels fast on BBC World.
And from the 3rd of September, we've got a whole new take on the business of keeping you in the loop.
3 hours of enhanced news, business and sport delivered promptly just when you need it.
Special editions of the World Business Report, coverage you know you can trust.
BBC News will continue to bring you the world-class perspective on international events you've come to expect.
BBC World, an enhanced service right across the board.
This September on BBC World, as part of the hard cash season, Peter J. globetrots through the ages to discover how human beings became wealth creators.
This, so far as we can tell, is the exact spot on which money was invented. The place from which all evil, or if you like, all blessings, spread across the world.
And from the gold rush to the burst of the bubble, BBC World investigates one of the most dramatic financial crashes of the 20th century and its impact on the lives of millions in Japan.
For the first time, I heard Sanyo would be applying for bankruptcy. It was like the blue sky had cracked in two.
A week of special Middle East programmes concludes with a compelling debate on the search for peace. Lise Doucette leads the discussion. And September brings extra daily editions of World Business Report and Sport Today for the latest business and sports news from across the planet. Global views to expand your mind this September on BBC World.
You're watching BBC World. We bring you up to date with the latest financial news now in World Business Report.
Too little, too late. Japan's government is slammed for dragging its feet on financial reform. Small car, big ambitions. We go live to the Frankfurt Motor Show. Hello and welcome to World Business Report. I'm Jane Sinclair. International credit rating agency Standard & Poor's has made a scathing attack on the Japanese government. S&P criticised Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi for dragging his feet on financial and economic reform and called on the Bank of Japan to do more to revive the world's second largest economy. S&P has downgraded its outlook for Japan's long-term credit ratings from stable to negative. Joanne Collins, senior economist at Daiwa SMBC Europe, joins us from our central London studios. Joanne, was it a surprise that S&P should be so vehement in its criticism of Japan?
Well, not really a surprise. I guess the timing was a bit of a surprise because we have quite a major announcement coming out on Friday, and it's interesting timing that the ratings agency didn't wait until after that announcement to change their outlook for the Japanese credit rating.
Is there any particular impact, say, on investment when a rating is changed like this or an outlook is downgraded?
Well, the more important aspect is when the rating itself has changed. In this case, it's only an outlook. And it was something that was perhaps anticipated, particularly because we had a similar announcement from Moody's last week. But it's more important for investors when the actual rating changes because that changes the pricing of the country's debt, hence the country's bonds.
So an outlook is really a warning. Does Japan now sit up and take notice of a warning like this from both S&P and Moody's?
Well, it's not something that hasn't happened before, and in the past they've chose not to take the advice of the ratings agencies. Perhaps in this case it's a bit, the timing is a little more crucial than or interesting than normal because of course we have the US Treasury Secretary O'Neill currently in Japan. He'll be meeting with key officials tomorrow. So the ratings agency's warnings over the last week or so certainly will reinforce the message that I'm sure he'll be giving to the Japanese government to get on with it.
And in your view, is the stance that S&P and Moody's is taking fair?
I think their criticism is certainly valid, and it's criticism that the financial markets would certainly agree with. Investors have been very worried about the lack of urgency, the lack of enthusiasm for reform from the new Prime Minister Koizumi, who came in April. So, yes, I think certainly.
Joanne, thanks so much for joining us. Joanne Collins, senior economist at Daiwa SMBC Europe. A look now at some of the other stories making news today. Nokia, the world's largest mobile phone maker, has issued a profit warning. The Finnish group expects third quarter sales to fall short of its initial target due to the continued slide in world demand. Nokia is now forecasting that sales will be 5% lower between July and September compared with the same period last year. The French economy continues to run out of steam. Growth fell to 0.3% in the second quarter of the year. The global slowdown in demand for French export products was partly offset by robust household spending, but consumer confidence has been sapped by high-profile job losses and the first rise in the unemployment rate for 3 years. Deutsche Telekom continues to eat away at its debt mountain. It sold off the rump of its cable TV operations to US-based Callahan Associates for about $1 billion. Last week, Deutsche sold 6 cable TV firms to Callahan's rival, Liberty Media, for $5 billion. The German telecoms giant aims to reduce its debt pile by some $60 billion to $45 billion by the end of next year. The world's largest gas company is also tightening its belt. Gazprom is selling off at least $1.6 billion of subsidiary assets in order to cut costs and shore up investor confidence. The Russian company has been criticized for splashing out on diverse enterprises such as media instead of concentrating on its core gas business. Car makers from around the world are gathering in Frankfurt on Tuesday. Ford hopes to double its share of the small car market with its new Fiesta model. It's got big ambitions for the little car, now trusted with the task of returning its European operations to profitability. The US group has nearly completed a round of cost slashing and restructuring, but it's depending on its revamped models to tempt back lost consumers. David Thursfield is CEO of Ford Europe, and he joins us live from Frankfurt. So is it the little Fiesta that's going to get you back to profitability?
No, it certainly will contribute to restructuring and return to profitability, but not the sole reason. There are many factors in terms of returning to profitability for Ford of Europe. This is just but one of them.
But you are pinning high hopes on the Fiesta.
Of course, not just the 5-door that we presented here today, but also the concept car, the codenamed B226, which was the fusion car. Cars that we're spinning off this platform into niche and exciting, innovative products will contribute more significantly, certainly significantly, to our profitability.
It's a very competitive sector of the market. What's going to make people come back to Ford and buy Fiesta?
Well, you know, we've completed the turnover of our product range the last 3 years. Started with Focus, which was Car of the Year, and still is a great selling car, the largest selling car in the world. And even 3 years into launch, we're still selling more Focus than we've ever done. Transit, the van of the year. Mondeo, 70 awards around Europe. Why wouldn't we be confident in having a great Fiesta launch? We've driven it back to back with the competition. It really is a tremendous car and very, very competitive on package style, efficiency, new engine derivatives. We think we've got a winning package here, just like the other 3 winners.
But in what way does it stand out from the competition?
Well, certainly in style and interior package, which is almost demanded of our customers in the big car segment.
Thanks so much.
Driving dynamics, of course, is a given.
David, thanks very much for joining us there. David is CEO of Ford Europe. Punch-drunk investors may have been pulling their money out of the stock market, but there's still one asset they're happy to buy, a fast car. Car dealers have reported rising cash sales, and on Tuesday, Porsche, the German maker of luxury sports cars, announced record sales and an 18% rise in profits.
Whatever the future might hold for the world economy, Porsche, it seems, is on a roll. It reported an 18% rise in pre-tax profits to nearly $500 million for the last 6 months. Underlying the increase was a continued rise in the number of cars sold, up 12% to 55,000 vehicles. The sales increase is being helped by the appeal of its Boxster model. Made in Finland, it's aimed at the customer deterred by the high price of the more traditional Porsche cars. Today's figures reflect sales up to the summer, so they don't take into account the effects of the latest bout of turbulence caused by the global slump in share prices. But Porsche is still optimistic about next year, so however much the stock markets slide, Porsche plans to keep motoring ahead. Martin Shankelman, BBC News.
Now let's have a look at some of the market numbers. This is how the Asian markets ended their day. You can see that the Nikkei was up 0.9%, so almost a percent improvement there. The Hang Seng up 51 points, Singapore up as well, with only Seoul down. The European markets started in positive territory today, and as you can see, they are all still in positive territory, and quite nicely so. Having a quick look at the currencies now, we can see that the euro is up ever so slightly against the dollar, and the pound is up against the dollar as well. Now, if you have any questions or comments, you can contact us by email at biznews@bbc.co.uk. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll have more news throughout the afternoon.
Market Wars, sponsored by Credit Suisse Group. Market Wars, sponsored by Credit Suisse Group.